Hey, what's happening? Happy Monday to everybody. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early, man. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, let me just run down how I came up with this video. I was going through the news feeds. I've been up for a couple hours now trying to find a story to talk about for this video, and I ended up coming across a quote from Donald Trump. He talked recently. Actually, the article was about Donald Trump talking about how Elon Musk is not going to run the presidency. So Trump has actually talked about this, because there's a lot of stuff like on X about President Musk and Vice President Trump. And so he actually talked about this, but that's not what this video is about. I was looking through what he said, some of his quotes from this interview, and something really stuck out. And he talked about his upcoming drug campaign. Now, look, I can't stand Donald Trump, but that's not why I'm making this video. He talks about how he's going to tackle drug addiction and drug use in the country, which I think every president has to deal with. Now, I'm old enough to remember Ronald Reagan, or Nancy Reagan, his wife, the first lady, saying the Just Say No campaign, which was an abysmal failure, because that's pretty much when I first started becoming an addict. It didn't work with me, and it didn't work with a lot of people, and it was kind of a big joke and just a waste of money. Okay, so Donald Trump, here's a quote from him. I'm not doing this video to pick on Donald Trump. The main reason I'm doing this video is because I want to share with you my experiences and try to share with you why I started using in the first place. Here's my point. Honestly, I don't think anything any of these presidents do or say will stop drug addiction. And I hate to say this, but probably the only thing that will be effective for deterring young people from using drugs is to talk to a person like me. And I don't say that because it's like I'm interviewing for a job, because it's something I want to do. I don't, but I feel an obligation that I should pay it forward and try to, and I would hate to see anybody go through the pure hell of a nightmare that I lived my life through for 2.5 decades. It's not something I look forward to doing, talking to young people, and like it's I'm interviewing for a job or something. But I think that's that might be the only thing that would work as a deterrent, because I could tell you some of the reasons I started using were peer pressure. Honestly, I'll fill you in more on that in a second. My father told me. I remember him telling me, if you ever use drugs, I'll disown you. He died when I was 9 years old from brain cancer. He said that drugs would ruin your face, that you get acne. He warned me about a lot of this stuff, and I still ended up using. Okay, here's what Donald Trump said. We're going to advertise how bad drugs are for you. Oh, that should do it. Trump said, they ruin your look, comma. They ruin your face, comma. They ruin your skin. You can tell, look, I'm not going to get off on a tangent about how much I dislike Trump, but you can tell that this guy's a narcissist, an arrogant narcissist, because, to him, looks are all that matters, so if it ruins your looks, oh God, that's a bad thing. Drugs do a lot worse things than just ruin your looks, believe me. Okay, so they ruin your face, they ruin your skin, they ruin your teeth. If you want to have horrible teeth, take a lot of fentanyl. That's not how you talk to kids about how to stay away from drugs, drug addiction. Telling them, if you want to lose your teeth, take a lot of fentanyl. I knew all that stuff. I knew all that stuff when I started using, and yet I still. When you're dealing with an addict, addicts don't think long term. Okay, or people that start using drugs aren't really thinking long term, or kids don't think long term. What's this going to do to me down the road? What's this going to do to me in 10 years? What's this going to do? They don't think like that. They think today. What's going to make me look cool today? What's going to make me feel better today? Tomorrow or 5 years from now, just is comprehended. It's bull. It doesn't matter. It's not something people that anybody really, young people or people that start using, think about. They're worried. They're concerned about how to get through the day today, how to look good today, how to feel good, just for today, just to get through the day and survive amongst your peers. That's the truth. I think everybody knows that. Warning somebody what's going to do to their skin or their hair or their teeth 5, 10, 20 years from now. It's just they know that, and it's a risk people, especially people that start using drugs, are willing to take. And I'll tell you this: a lot of people that start using drugs, I was one of them. I always thought I was better. I always thought that I was stronger. I always thought I had more willpower. I remember my mother will still, we talk about this, and she says, Gerald, remember you told me you had the willpower, because when she found out I was using, and I said, I got willpower, Mom. I'm not like, I'm not like an addict. I'm not like those other people. I fool around with it, but I know I'm a smart guy. I mean, I do good in school. I get good grades. I had a good job. I worked hard and all that stuff. I'm not stupid. Yeah, and I became a heroin and crack cocaine addict. All right, let me fill you in how I first, when I was 14 years old, up until I was 14, my father died when I was 9. My mother started dating a policeman about 3 or 4. There was a first policeman she dated for a year or two. Then another one she started dating after that when I was about 11 years old. And I didn't like him right from the very beginning. And he was a decorated cop. And he started abusing me, like sexually. And that went on for 3 or 4 years. And he actually would offer me drugs that he had confiscated from people on the street. That's the reality. That's the real life of what a lot of kids or a lot of young people are going through these days. Here's how I first started. This is how I first started using. I had a paper route, and I was cutting through the woods. This is like something right out of an after-school special. I was cutting through woods to my friend's house. It was, it was a lonely trail, and there was a rock where it had graffiti on it, where kids would hang out in the middle of the woods. It meant party, And I was only about 14 years old at this point, 13 or 14 years old, and no, I was 13 years old. And as soon as I came around the corner to this rock, I saw about 4 or 5 older people, older kids. I had just moved to this part of the neighborhood. It was me, my mother, my sister. My mom bought her first house, working hard. We got kicked out of the house after my father died because it came along with his job as a park ranger. And this is the first house, and I moved into this, it was a kind of an urban city on the edge of the city. It was a rougher neighborhood, because she couldn't afford the best, obviously. And there were some bad kids, rough kids, bigger, older, rougher kids in the neighborhood, 16, 17, 18 years old. I was only 13. And I came around the corner, and there was about 4 or 5 of them sitting on the rock. And they had a cowboy hat on the rock. And they were all sitting there with a big bag of weed, rolling joints, and throwing the joints into the cowboy hat, gathering them all up. And they were going to sell them. We used to call them bones back in that day. And I had never smoked pot yet. And they're like, hey, they used to call me Einstein. And that was serious because I did good in school. I was a smart kid, and that was their nickname for me. Hey Einstein, come here. And they finished rolling them up, and they lit one up, and they started passing around. I had never smoked, and there was one beautiful girl. It was the sister of all the other guys there. Some of the other guys there, long dark hair, gorgeous, like a teen girl. Just my mouth dropped open, And I was an overweight kid to begin with. I was quiet. When I moved to this part of the town, I lost a lot of weight because I would bike back to where I used to live, where my father died, and I worked off a lot of weight. And when I hit about 14 or 15, I grew a lot taller. I got a lot more muscular. Anyway, I didn't have a lot of self-esteem, and the girl offers me to do a shotgun. Shotguns where you put the lid end in your mouth. She'd put the lid end in her mouth, and you put your lips together, and she would put her lips up to mine and blow the smoke into my mouth. That's a shotgun. And that's the very first time I ever smoked, I ever used drugs. And you could see the peer pressure. You could see, it's like I said, it's like a freaking after school special. Okay, cocaine. Let's talk about cocaine really quick. I know this video is probably going to get yellow lighted, but I got to talk about this. One of the first times I used coke, I still remember this. I went to a party in a town about, it was about 5 towns away. We didn't know anybody. It was a friend of a friend, knew a party going on. So we went to this strange town, strange people, and I was all dressed up. I was probably about 16, 17 years old, just started driving. And one of my friends had like a small amount of cocaine. He got it from an older friend that was dealing a little bit. I had never used it, and I used it at that party. And I was just the life of the party. The girls, I was dancing with the girls, and the girls wanted to know my phone number. And I remember them coming up to my friend after and asking, "Who's that guy you brought with you?" You know, talking about me. You know, because I was all lit up. I was all wired up. You know, and I was outgoing. You know, naturally I was very quiet. But when I did that, I was the life of the party. I was all talkative and everything. And I after that, I thought this was the answer to all my problems. You know, I was the life of the party. I was out, because I hated being what you call an introvert. You know, being an extrovert's supposedly cool. You know, the guys on the baseball team, the cool guys and everything were all loud and joking around the hallways, and I was kind of quiet. I did good. You know, I got good grades and stuff. I was overweight, and I was overweight when I was younger. And it was like the answer to the solution to all my problems. I was the kind of guy that took chances. Like, I lost my father when I was 9. My grandparents died. My best friends died. And I was angry at death. And I took a lot of chances. Looking back, I was probably almost suicidal. Now I know this video is going to get yellow lighted for saying that. And I was the kind of guy that would go into the city and search out the drugs and buy them. And I started selling them. I started smoking crack. One day we couldn't get any powder, so I tried smoking crack. And every time I started using one of these drugs, I told myself, I'm just messing around. I would just use it on the weekend. I really believe that. I can mess with it, but it's just when I go out. It's just once in a while, and that's how it started. And I ended up being a full-blown heroin addict, using every day. That my whole life was nothing for the last 8 years of my addiction, from all of my 30s, from like say 32 to 40. I was a full-blown heroin and crack cocaine addict, using every day. How I got to heroin was I had a couple back surgeries, and I used to make fun of the heroin addicts. I was a cocaine addict or crack addict. And I was like, why do people use that? They just fall asleep. It's ridiculous. And I got oxys prescribed to me. This is how, once you use heroin or oxys and heroin are the exact same thing. Let me tell you that. The exact same thing. Heroin that you get on the street, powder heroin, and an OxyContin, same exact, a lot of times the oxys I took were stronger than heroin. Same exact buzz, same exact, if not stronger, same exact feeling, same exact high. Same exact thing. Don't trick yourself into thinking that just because you're taking Vicodin or Percocets or Oxys it's not heroin. It's the same exact high. Believe me, especially the Oxys. It makes you feel so good. It's such a euphoria. It changes your mind. It changes your brain chemistry the very first time you use it. You'll always remember that. Like life, it's like all of a sudden you can see color when the whole world was black and white. That's how it feels the first time you do that drug. Seriously, I don't know if I'm going to cry. I'm getting goosebumps or what. It changes you that first time, very first time you use it. When you get that high, you never forget it. You then when you go back to just what you call sober life or straight life, it sucks. Because when you're high, I can't even tell you how euphoric that is. And that's the addiction. You never want to feel normal again. You think feeling normal, why should anybody have to feel normal? When there's euphoric feeling, like everybody should feel like this. It's great, there's no problems, there's no, everything's, it's just, it's perfect. It's a perfect world. Why would I want to go back to that? And that's the first time you use it, the very first time you use it. These are some of the things, some of the reasons I started using. Somebody telling me, like Donald Trump here, telling me that my skin or my hair or my teeth, I knew that stuff, but like I said, that was long term. And when you're younger, or when you're out with your friends, or when you're that age, you don't think about, and plus I told myself, I'm smarter than that. I'm different. I'm stronger. I got more willpower. That'll never be me. And it becomes you, and I could be looking at a kid right now and tell them that. And they still won't, a lot of times they will still won't listen to you. It's not an easy thing to tackle. those are some of my thoughts on Trump. And I hope he does better. I really do. I really think the only way it's going to work for Donald Trump is if he gets people like me to work for him or work with him. Because we know why we started using. We know the feelings. We know the insecurities we had. We know all the reasons why we started, deep down, why we started using, how we got addicted. And we're probably the only people that could really help stop or prevent other young people from ever using drugs. That's the truth of it. That's my opinion. Recovery is possible. I've been clean and sober since October 23rd of 2006. I'll say it again. Recovery is possible. This has been the best 18 years of my entire life. I'm going to be 59 years old next month. And the last 18 years have been just unfreaking believably great being clean and sober. The best. I never thought I could do it. And now I am getting goosebumps. It's been the best years of my life. My family, financially, happiness, I'm happy, my social life, everything. Yeah, I mean, you still have problems, of course, but it's much better being clean and sober. It is possible. Have a good Monday.